Okay.
The time is 6:33, so I will call the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia for Monday, March 22nd, 2021 to order. Solange Destang is absent tonight. She's feeling under the weather, so we wish her well. So we'll first go through the regular business meeting. We'll need someone for the invocation. Anyone want to volunteer? We'll see if Kelly shows up. Maybe she'll do it. Chuck's going to do the pledge. Under ceremonial matters, we're going to recognize Mrs. Edna Kofer for her 100th birthday. We've got a proclamation ready for that. The Arab American Heritage proclamation is going to be postponed to next month. That's going to be on the first April 13th meeting. And we've got the minutes. So I have a note that Christy's going to amend the agenda to move the nomination of Holly, is it Dunnigan? For the Snellville Youth Commission. That's listed as item E. She's going to move that up to after the approval of the agenda, so she doesn't get trapped behind the public hearing items. Then we have a public hearing. We've got first the townhome development on 124. Any discussion here for the work session?
Only I think we're going to table it till next month so we can do a little bit more research on it, see what's what. I'm not sure it yet meets what we need to have met. And I think we need to look at it a little bit longer. I haven't seen any elevations yet and seen what's what. I don't know how anybody else feels, but I think we need to give it another 2 weeks.
I would be good with tabling it as well.
Okay.
So that'll be tabled to
Till the next
13th.
meeting.
April 13th, yeah.
13th.
Chuck, can we do that to the 13th, or do we have to?
It's April 12th, isn't it?
Or do we have to wait for the public hearing?
No, as long as it's set to,
Because we've already had the public
you already had the public hearing on that, so it can be held at the next one. But the main thing is need to do it to a date
Oh,
certain.
it is the 12th.
Just make sure it's done to a date certain. That protects.
Okay. It's the 12th, not the 13th?
It's the 12th, not the 13th. I forgot. I have my calendar starting Monday to Sunday.
Not the 26th, you want the 12th. Is that?
So it's the 12th or the 13th?
Yeah, well, if we.
It would be the 12th.
We've already had the
if we
public
did it.
hearing, so.
Right.
Will 2 weeks give you enough time,
Enough time.
those who want
Or you
more
want to make it
time?
you want to make it the 26th and be safe?
I'm
I
fine
would-
with that. Why don't we ask the applicant
Okay.
before we go into session?
All right.
Do y'all have anything to say? The applicant's here, Mr. Peavy's here.
Whatever you think, we'll adjust and do what we can do for everybody.
Okay.
Up to you, Dick.
Let's do the 26th, and that way we should have enough time to get everything done and eliminate the questions.
Oh, okay.
Maybe is there any reason that Mr. Peavy would need to stick around if you all are going to represent, if you all are going to table it?
Yeah, if everybody's sure you're going to table it, then Mr. Peavy, you could go on
And I
that.
had heard already the possibility table, I've let the neighbor to the rear, I let them know already too that possibility table so that they didn't have to come up.
Okay.
So you'll still need to vote. You'll still have to vote.
Yeah, vote to table,
Session,
yeah.
but just-
Thank you, Mr. Peavy.
Thank you.
All right, then we'll have the second reading for the access infrastructure, which is the housing development on Lenore Church Road. Any questions or anything you want to talk about in the work session? And then the church site changing conditions. There were a couple of issues. Is Jason here?
Yeah.
Here he is. There was a little confusion, I think we talked about before our meeting, about the UDO in that area. Does it require the parking to be in the rear, or can the parking be in the front?
At the time of adoption, the CI district in and of itself required all buildings to have no more than 20% of the parking areas. When we redid the UDO, we basically replaced it with this language, which I supplied to you, it should be on your desk. 207.18 vehicle parking location, B, buildings under 10,000 square feet, which this one is, except single-family detached dwellings, and two-family dwellings located on lots that are all or partially within 300 feet of State Route 124 or 78, must conform to the following. So they're not within the parameters of those two places, so now they'd be allowed, if they were on the North Church Road, to have parking in the front. Just like, I know some people are a little bit worried about the precedents as well, but the church adjacent to them has all the parking in the front as well.
Yeah, but that was zoned and built when?
Well, I mean, if they were to come in now and do it, they could do it. If they wanted, if there wasn't the condition on the property. So,
Okay.
if you guys want to think, we can add that to our list of text amendments.
So does okay, so B doesn't apply because they're not on 124 or 78, right?
Or within 300 feet of either one. So basically, when we redid this, we concentrated mainly on the commercial corridors for those types of buildings. And because the CI district also doesn't have, where you first look is under the districts, it shows a typical building, the front, back, setbacks. Civic institutional doesn't provide that like the town homes do, the mixed use district and all the other, building types. As you go through, it doesn't have a building type associated with it because it can come in many forms because it's not necessarily just one type of building. So now, if there was not a condition located on that sets the building where it is, they would be allowed to do it currently if they met these requirements. The exception, which is basically if they're not on the Nora Church or 120, sorry, not the Nora Church, Highway 78 or 124 or 300 feet. So there's kind of like a buffer around the main corridors where this is applicable for buildings only under 8,000 square feet. So if this was a 12,000 square foot building, 124 wouldn't have to be pushed to the street. Because that's, it's kind of like what everything else is. I just wanted to bring that up so you knew what you were voting on tonight. The applicant's concerns are the amount of fill and then the engineering walls that they're going to have to build to get the building up front as originally proposed. I think this has been in the works for 4 or 5 years now, almost 6 since we started it. So, I would recommend it approval. And with the landscape buffer out front, you won't really see the parking. Parking's kind of going to slope into the middle, and you'll see the building on the hill, but mostly not cars. I'll let the applicant explain a little more when we get in there.
Okay.
But they'll be at the meeting.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions or anything for now?
My only, my biggest issue is the fact that the dumpster is pushed out and will be the most prominent feature within 50 feet of the roadway.
And the detention pond too.
Well, the detention pond is in the back corner, but again, it will be seen more than the actual building, and I would prefer
We can move the dumpster if you want.
Well,
That's-
yeah, well, it's not passing with the dumpster there on my vote. And the detention pond, kind of the same thing. I know it'll have to be screened, but it is, again, in a more visible and prominent position than the actual structure. So those are two of my issues, but we can discuss that in the meeting.
In the meeting, okay.
And I know it's a tough site.
Yeah, there's going to have to be a lot of dirt moved regardless.
But the difference in the elevation from the front of the lot, just driving by and looking, not getting out and walking it, is not substantially different than what's back there in the back. It looks as though over the years, dirt has been excavated and moved off-site or something.
They haven't really moved much dirt, but I think their argument is there's more dirt closer to the back than there is they would have to transport and fill in the front to make a pad for the building. I think that's the argument that they're making and that we agree with. Like you said, the detention pond is usually screened. You're talking about, 100 yards.
Yeah, and the building is 130.
Right. I mean, the water has to go where the water goes.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, the other thing I'd like to look at too is where does the water go near Lenore Church Road? Because the property slopes down towards Springdale.
What do you
And,
mean? Like if it's on the road, it's caught by the system for Lenore Church. Anything that
yeah, but
is
what's,
caught within the confines of the development goes to their detention pond.
yeah, but it's going to go south, the way the land is sloped,
Right. but
which
it's
means it's going to
all-
run down toward the gas station and the detention pond's way back there.
No, anything that's on their property, nothing's gonna change on Lenore Church. Like when they come in, that water's gonna get caught in their curb and gutter and gonna be routed to their detention pond. So whatever's there now on Lenore Church prior to development will remain the same. They're not pushing any water out into the street. It's gonna come into theirs and then gradually slope all the way back to the detention pond.
I'll have to look at it again, so when I looked at it today, looking at it from Lenore Church, the left front corner is the lowest part in that front. So they would have to move a bunch of dirt from the back to the front to get the water to flow to the back to the detention
Yeah,
pond.
I mean, they've got to continue to grade the property, but I'm saying the finished result, they're not going to dump any water out on Lenore Church, and they're not allowed to.
No, I understand that. I'm talking about the property south that also fronts Lenore Church.
Well,
That's all unbuildable.
yeah, I think if what Dave's talking about is getting the water from the convoluted entrance into the detention pond rather than running into the creek that's bisecting the property.
Yeah, because if that's all impervious surface, there'd be a ton of water running down. And it may be unbuildable, but I don't know that we need to destroy anything with a barrage of water running down.
Oh,
there.
yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, we just need to look at that and make sure we have a,
Doesn't the topo show a drop back from the driveway?
The topo I'm looking at, well, actually, in this packet, it's not showing the topo. I'll pull it up.
837. There's, here, I'll let the engineer talk to you about that.
Okay.
They have to retain their own water, they can't. Are you worried about it getting on the actual undeveloped site?
yes.
From where? Because they're all curved, like they won't jump the curve. Like, so wherever the water goes, it's not gonna, the only water that's gonna come off of this site is gonna go to the detention pond, and the only water that's gonna reach the creek buffers is gonna be from rain. It won't be from runoff unless it's from like a landscape strip with grass and trees and stuff on, like it's not gonna, there's not gonna be a pipe that comes out the side of this curb over here and blasts.
No, I'm concerned about all the water that lands on the paved parking area and runs downhill south.
Onto the road?
No, south, onto the adjoining,
In
The
the,
undeveloped.
Into
the
the street.
undeveloped property, and, you know, if it causes damage there, even though it's unbuildable, somebody owns it.
But how would the water get there? Would it, are you talking about it jumping the curb?
No? There's no curb between this property and the adjoining property.
There would be a curb at the end of the parking lot. So if any water was running on the parking lot, it's going to get stopped by this curb and run down along the curb to the detention pond.
And then it has to let it out actually slower than it would if it was naturally vegetated.
Okay, well, I don't have that.
I just emailed everybody a copy of the topo
Okay,
grading plan, site grading plan, and it shows all the parking and the entranceway. Well, the entranceway actually has a bit of a downslope, but the parking lot has a very light grade across it, running from 936 to 940, so a 4-foot drop from the northeast corner to the southwest corner. So it's not a huge slope, but it's,
Pretty significant.
yeah.
Well,
And,
enough to move the water to the detention pond. 4 feet?
Maybe, yeah, well, yeah, but there's curb, and the way it's bisected, there would have to be a lot of drainage devices, which
Well, they have to
increase
get the
costs.
plan.
I know, but my real point is, and I think Dave's too, is the church sits at, or the structure sits at 939, so,
Can we table this one too then and get the engineer to opine on the site plan?
yeah.
I'd be amenable to that.
Great.
Okay,
While we're doing all that, can we look at relocating that dumpster?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's no big deal. We can
Okay.
make a condition to put it beside, behind, wherever you want to put it out of view. You know, you could have it wrapped in cypresses, a stripper tree, or whatever you want to do to soften that, move it to the corner next to the pond, and there's plenty of ways to fix it.
Awesome.
Yeah, because,
I want to see it from the street.
well, that, and if there were ever, I mean, I know at our church, or my church, there's often a lot of illegal dumping that goes on into the dumpster, and so there's,
The less you see it,
yeah, well, no, yeah, the less you see it, but also, yeah, because it'll
More
become
difficult.
attractive.
Right.
But it's directly there next to a waterway, and I would certainly not want anything to get, the closer it is to the waterway, the more opportunity there is for junk to get into the waterway. And that's become a really big issue in our community, so we're better served to have it on the furthest spot away from the waterway that doesn't intrude on the residential properties behind it.
especially since it's directly across from Briscoe.
Well, down a little ways, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
So a
It's a lot.
procedural question, Chuck, this is on as a second reading. Do we do the public hearing and then do a motion to table, or can we table it without the public hearing?
You can do either way.
I would prefer to have the public hearing after we address the issues that mayor and council have. That way the public has the ability to input on what we're actually going to vote on.
Okay.
That would be my preference.
I think that sounds good.
Everybody in agreement with that?
So that's also tabled to
26 or the
Yeah.
8th, or for 12.
No, you want to do this one for the 26th.
Yeah, because it's a public hearing.
Okay.
Don't worry, we'll table some of them too.
Cutting down this agenda pretty quick.
Yeah, the next one's gonna be horrible.
Yeah, but y'all be prepared for April 26th then.
Can we table again?
Okay, so that is April 26th. Okay, nothing under the consent agenda, new business, the master development agreement update. Butch?
This is the document that was on the last agenda, and it needed legal review. Brian Edwards has signed off on it and is ready
You
to go.
sound
Sound horrible.
What's that?
You sound
I'm
terrible.
sorry.
Can I make a
My
motion, we
goodness.
send the city manager
Send
home?
the city
Just gotta-
manager.
He was going to ask as soon as the work session was over.
Just a sinus infection or something.
Oh,
Oh, goodness.
But it's, Brian Edwards has signed off on it, and the legal description, property description was right, so it's ready to go now.
Okay, so we've got that. Then we've got just surplus items from the park and then also the city vehicles. And then action on the confirmation of temporary easements for town center.
When we did the LCI project, we got temporary easements from 3 property owners. The Midcast folks just wanted a document saying that they had expired. And I think Mandy Williams with your office drafted that, and you have it there. So it's just a cleanup item. They expired a long time ago when the project was done. So we just have to approve that to clarify it.
Okay?
That's the dialysis and,
Let's see, it was the 2 houses on Wisteria. And there was Dr. Shaw.
okay. Anyone want to talk to a telemarketer?
Yeah, I think.
My apologies.
Okay, and then the item E, we will have already addressed. Anyone have any questions on that one? Okay, that is the regular meeting. Now we'll go to, any correspondence, Mr. Sanders?
I think we're going to talk about the same correspondence.
So let Chuck do it.
Just to save Butch's voice, so there is correspondence that has come. The new tax commissioner has chosen to utilize a state statute that allows tax commissioners to basically collect a commission for the billing for municipalities of property taxes. Now, in the past, we have had our billing done by the county. They handled that. We paid, I believe, $1.40 under our past contract, $1.40 per parcel under the old contract. That expired with Mr. Steele going out of office. My understanding is now the new tax commissioner, Ms. Porter, is asking to raise that $1.40 to $1.80 plus a $2 commission. From everything I've read, it's legal, but that doesn't necessarily mean, that we have to, we're not obligated to utilize those services. So I've been in contact with Jack Wilson, who's the attorney for the Gwinnett Municipal Association. And my understanding is basically there are a few cities that already do their own billing. There are essentially 8 municipalities in Gwinnett that the billing has been done by Gwinnett County. Of that, a couple of the smaller jurisdictions financially just don't have the manpower to handle that, and probably are going to give in and just pay that additional fee. There's going to be a meeting with Gwinnett Municipal tomorrow at 2 o'clock where we're going to be discussing those issues. So it's just something that she set a deadline of essentially 3 weeks from last week when we got her correspondence that she hadn't heard from us, that she was no longer going to bill for us. But we certainly can use that time to make a decision on what's in Snellville's best interest. So that's something you all decide whether you all are going to want to pay that additional commission, or you want to try to figure out if there's a more economical way for us to do it ourselves, or there may be an option, we don't know yet, of where the other cities may be able to go in as a group with some type of option. That's what's going to be discussed tomorrow. So.
April 8th is the date that they put on their ultimatum, if you will.
And my understanding is that from Jack directly, that he repeatedly asked Ms. Porter if she would consider having a group meeting, and she just absolutely refused to do that, and will not have a meeting with the cities.
It's interesting.
So tomorrow after that meeting, I can let y'all know what comes out of it, but one of the goals is, one, to check with the other cities that have had the county billing it, have discussion there on what everybody's thoughts and feelings are. I think some work has been put in with each city with what they've been paying and then what the new arrangement is, so that we can kind of do some comparisons. And then our hope is Randy Meacham with Gwinnett Municipal was going to be checking around for any third-party vendors that do billing, or we do know that Norcross and Duluth build their own, and just talking with them on what they use, would they be agreeable even to, take that on and let the cities pay them, so that we work out something within the cities that have been having Gwinnett County do it. So, we'll be kind of fleshing out a little bit of that, so I can send out an email and let y'all know what points come out of that meeting tomorrow. I don't really expect any decisions necessarily, but at least
Options.
we'll all know hopefully a little more than what we know right now.
So right now, Duluth and Norcross are the only ones we know of that currently bill their own taxes.
Buford may do their own as well.
I think
So I said
Buford.
there's only 8 that are using it.
There's only 6 or 8 that are doing it now.
I'm sure Buford does, since they have their own school system.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I know the ones, of the ones that are at issue are Tequila, Berkeley Lake, Grayson, Lawrenceville,
Lilburn.
some Lilburn, I know are all ones that are in the 8 that have been using it. So.
Yeah, I think getting input from the ones that do it themselves is as valuable as those
Yeah.
that don't.
I don't know if it matters, but that was my first job at City Hall, was doing property taxes here.
Oh, really?
We do it ourselves
Yeah.
now.
Oh, well, I guess we'll talk to you too then.
We have an expert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while, and I think Duluth uses the same software we currently have.
And in a conversation I had with former Mayor Clower, he said, up until 99 or 2000,
2001.
we did it all or in-house.
In-house.
So,
And I think, one of the things to weigh out is the collection rate,
right.
and just making sure that the collection rates stay up.
Well, and that's why I think it's so important to talk to the other cities that do their own, because the collection part of it, it doesn't do any good to bill it if you're not going to get the money.
Right.
And I guess I should have been clear. One thing I wasn't clear about is that this is a commission to the tax commissioner, to her
Personal.
bottom line. Now,
To
technically the money would flow to the county, but then there is a provision in the municipal ordinance of the county that allows them to reimburse her back that amount.
She gets paid
So
for
that's
doing
been
nothing.
verified
Yeah, I
that
know.
Gwinnett County has
Well,
that language.
well, Jack and I went through,
She's asking to
Melissa
third-party
actually provided us a
vendors.
copy of the municipal ordinance early on,
Feel that way.
and Jack and I reviewed it, and what basically it says is that the salary of the tax commissioner is set at 75% of a Superior Court judge's salary, plus 75% of any supplement that the Superior Court judge might receive. It then says that basically any taxes or fees that are additional are to be paid to the county. But then it goes on to say, if the tax commissioner is doing extra work, which is essentially the argument that's being made, is that they are doing the extra billing, then that can be reimbursed by the county.
That is exactly not how my teaching job works.
That's exactly how being mayor not works either.
Works very, very similar.
I mean, it is apparently legal under the Georgia statute, and apparently there's some smaller jurisdictions in Georgia where the tax commissioner does not get paid a salary from the county. And the way they get paid is on a basis, a per parcel basis, or some kind of rate like that. But here we have a tax commissioner that's making, I feel like, a fairly healthy salary for elected office. And she theoretically is doing work that really all the county staff is doing, but yet she's going to get a personal
salary.
commission out of that. And I feel like that's, personally enriching yourself on a public office,
And
elected
she
position.
knew what the job was and the salary was when she.
And how long was Richard Steele in office?
8 years.
Yeah, 2 terms.
He managed to do all 8 years without doing this.
And came in under budget.
Yeah.
One thing after the phone, or during the phone call tomorrow, you may want to, if it's done by an ordinance in the city, in the county, a county ordinance, it falls under that. Is that who did the, or was it a state?
Well, the law is a state law. that
Right,
prevents it.
but what you
Then
referenced
What I
just a
referenced
minute-
is the county is a county ordinance.
Well, then
It sounds, the
question
feedback
is-
I've gotten so far is that the county commissioners are going to be hands-off. It's going to be whatever the
Well,
tax commissioner
I
wants to do.
would say that the cities en masse need to ask the commission to amend that ordinance to remove that provision. Because as you said, to personally enrich someone for work done by a public organization and public employees certainly does not pass the smell test.
Yeah.
If it comes down to it in the end, and it's gonna cost the same, maybe to pay a third-party vendor or to give her this personal commission, I'd rather pay a
Rather pay a
third-party
third party.
vendor.
I agree with you.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll be looking into that.
Okay.
If we have to pay more, I'd rather do it.
Well, and I would think that if we pooled resources,
Yeah.
and maybe that would be a feature that GWMA could pick up and hire staff and have, that would probably be the most efficient and effective way to do it.
Well, I mean, this is just casual conversation, but
Unless
what
Melissa wants to take it over.
what I was told was that Norcross has one person, that this is their job,
Right.
during the tax billing time. So it's not like, we'll need to hire 5 people to get it
Exactly.
done.
Right.
And I bet there's third parties.
Yeah.
That's what they do, and, yeah.
Okay, so that is coming up tomorrow. And that, Butch, are you going to be able to be on that call?
Yes.
And I'll be on the call. Tomorrow, we also have a meeting with a big group on the Grove costs.
Or the VE, that's
The-
tomorrow.
Yeah.
What time is it?
Tell me what VE stands for.
Value engineering.
Yeah, it's not tomorrow.
Good.
It's
Value
the 30th.
engineer.
Uh,
I had to look it up.
It's the 30th.
Yes,
the 30th, next Tuesday.
1 o'clock on the 30th.
Okay.
Yeah.
That-
VE's very exciting, isn't it?
Yes.
Jeff, do you have Baby Yoda songs?
I do it, but it's not Baby Yoda, it is Grogu for
Grogu.
the child or the asset.
Oh, it's Baby Yoda. Yeah,
But yes.
Now we notice them, huh? Oh, they're,
it's all right. I have Baby Yoda in his crown.
And Madam Mayor, I'm going to we'll need an executive session
Okay.
as well.
Gretchen.
Ongoing projects, Butch.
First item, Town Center, and your progress update. I want to hit the high points. All of the agreements in the documents are, we don't have a lender, Midcast does not have a lender commitment at this point in time. They're reviewing the document that they've received. I understand it's pretty imminent.
Midcast is reviewing, or the bank is still reviewing it?
They're reviewing what they've gotten from the lender, what they've gotten from you, their commitment letter.
Okay, so Midcast has gotten something back.
Yes,
Yes.
From their lender.
from US
Their
Bank.
lender.
Okay.
Yes.
And they're
And they're
reviewing
reviewing it internally before they release it to us.
Okay.
The civil engineering phase one, I mean, everybody sees the progress that's been made. Even as wet as it was last week, they still made some progress. So they're doing pretty well. Hodges and Hicks are still on schedule. The Grove plans, the top of page 2, that VE meeting has been set for next Tuesday. VE is value engineering, so we're going to talk about what's been taken out and what may need to be taken, a little more taken out, maybe some added back in. County Library, they have set their bid date of April the 14th. Parking deck, CM at risk. The pad-ready date for winter to begin is now 5/17. We feel like that's a good date, and it's been moved up, I guess, about a week probably, Eric. Moving down through here, not much changes on the multifamily. Stormwater master detention is complete. We did put fencing up to turn people around when we've got to have a grand opening. As soon as the punch list is done and we accept the project, we'll have a grand opening for the Greenway. And we are going to turn people around and just keep them out of the construction area. Market design and leasing agreement. Talked to 2 of the architects. They're working on their RFP responses. So pretty soon that committee will have to get back together and review those.
Are those 2 of the 3 that were on our initial list? Or-
Yeah. They're all working on it. I've just talked to 2 of them. The bond documents are ready to go as soon as we get the commitment letter. Blake Sharpton is on vacation this week. He's out of touch, but everything is set to put out the offering statement. For all of the right-of-way improvements, we think our walking tour can take place early in April. We'll try to do it, Christy, during spring break,
Right.
which is when?
April 4th through the 9th,
Okay.
10th.
We'll
Try to
set
do
that
it
up
on
so
a-
you and so
On a
on.
Monday or a Friday, that way they can take some time to go somewhere if they want.
Well, Friday's a COVID vaccine.
What's that?
Friday is my COVID vaccine date,
Okay.
so
Okay.
Friday during,
during spring break, yeah.
I just didn't want to have a meeting, have this scheduled on a Wednesday and you or Solange not be able to go to Portugal or the islands or
Solange
wherever
is,
y'all.
Solange is the traveler more
Yeah.
so than I am,
Yeah.
so.
I hope she's able to.
Spring break is the 5th through the 9th, is that what you said? Okay.
Yeah, Easter week, basically.
And I guess everybody, there is a March 25th this week is the virtual open house for the pre-construction on the sewer line. Hopefully we get a lot of those residents on over there. I've talked, like I said, I've talked to the folks that we got right away from, so they know about it and hopefully they'll be on. But everybody's invited. And GWR will be in charge of that part of it.
And we're going to hold that where?
It's just
It's a virtual.
Zoom meeting.
Oh, virtual.
Yeah.
Well, I guess wherever my computer is.
Wherever you want to be.
Yep.
Just going down the project update list, human resource issues, we're moving ahead, had several good, couple of conversations this morning. They may not have been able to hear me very well, but I actually heard them.
Well, that's different.
So we're putting some things in the budget. We'll go over some budget discussions probably early in April. Annexation, some other work is kind of pushed in here. I'm asking to move back a presentation of a map until the April 26th meeting. That's going to give us a little more time to put some things together and start our discussions as far as annexation. Sidewalk improvements, I know you guys are talking to see what your priorities are. When you're ready, maybe a little short work session or extended work session before council where we can look at a map and talk about that. On the walls, as expected, GDOT, their first response was negative to any encroachments in their right-of-way over the walls.
By encroachments, you mean shrubbery or?
Shrubbery's gonna, when it came to window box, like just flower boxes and whatnot, but you never accept GDOT's first response. You go back with another plan and you just try to work. You find the right person who will maybe give us an allowance. So don't give up on that. Just like my college basketball brackets, I didn't make a very good prediction when it comes to alcohol and package sales from the legislature. It is back to the drawing board. We are not going to be able to unilaterally, the mayor and council is not going to be able to unilaterally put it on a referendum. At least, maybe it'll come back next year. I don't know. Senior Center operations, Gretchen, I guess you're aware of the
I have a calendar.
advisory board meeting, and there'll be a good discussion there. Briscoe Park improvements. Todd, I was glad to get a positive report from you on the car show. I think it was a nice day, and it's programs like that, they bring a lot of their own people. They kind of get followed around. So, and we've gotten a lot of nice compliments for our appointments that we're getting people to for the vaccinations. Lisa, we've had one walkthrough. We're going to have another walkthrough before we take everybody over there. We have a lot of people working on fences and stumps, and the staff is moving stuff around, so you will see a difference. And then the last two, are just basically mayor and council, the invocation and the staff recognition. So, any questions about any of that?
Any questions?
I was just going to say, I was over at the park Saturday with the car show, and almost every concern that I had previously had been addressed. The place really looked sharp, and I was very happy with the way the park was showing. So
You'll see a lot more in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, my hat's off to Lisa and her staff for really getting on it.
Okay, town center documents.
I know you want to have a short executive session. The documents that I sent, there were 3. Because of the way the Grove process has changed, Blake Sharpton, who represents the DDA and the mayor and council in the document area, felt like we needed to shore up our IGA agreements between the DDA and the mayor and council. And basically, that's what those 2 documents do. The longer one talks about the 4 agreements, which will be in place once they get their financial commitment. Parking deck declaration, master declaration, joint development agreement, and construction contracts. And it basically sets out what the DDA's role is and what the mayor and council role is going to be. And the DDA, basically, when I met with them the other day and I shared these documents with them, I kind of heard a little bit, a sense of relief from them. They did not want to have to meet all the time, and Don Britt surely didn't want to be responsible for reviewing all the bills. I mean, we have architects, we have Larry Kaiser, we have the staff that will review all of the drawdowns and then make those recommendations to the paying agent to pay the contractors. And basically, that kind of sets forth, both of these documents sort of sets forth that process. The short one basically just establishes the city as an accounts payable agent for all of the construction in the Grove. This one is a little more than that. I mean, it makes it very clear that the DDA is still the owner of all the property and all of the improvements, but they have a commitment in all of these documents to pay for maintenance and other responsibilities. And this basically says that the city is partner in doing that. We provide the funds, and it also, when, for instance, when there are lease payments made by the lessee at the market, it makes it very clear those dollars will come to the city and not the DDA, because we need those dollars to pay bonded debt. And so I just put those out there. I'd like you guys to review those. When Blake gets back, we'll get him online. He can go over those and ask questions. But I think it just more clearly defines our role and gives us agency in a very important part of the process as it moves along. We review the bills, we pay them, the DDA meets all their responsibilities under those documents. So look that over. And then the third item that I sent out, basically, and this gets back to Powell and Edwards, who's going to be involved in the review of the lease when the lease comes forth. But these are kind of like the beginning negotiating numbers and the beginning negotiating stance for the city for a potential lease. The next step, we should get the form of a lease from Shannon to review. But these are basically, Todd, Gretchen, and Dave, I think you guys were in the original meeting when we talked to Shannon about the agreement. This kind of tracks what was in their proposal. And so look that over. When we get the actual lease itself, we'll get that to everybody. We'll get it to Chuck and Jay to review further.
In that, what is radius restriction? I didn't understand.
I suspect it's a restrictive covenant that says that he can't open up a similar business within the radius.
Oh, okay. I
assume that's what that's talking about.
I mean, if you really look through here, it puts, I mean, it's a fair proposal, but it definitely puts the city in pretty good position. Mm-hmm. I mean, they share the CAM. I think it's a good starting point. But please review that, and we'll pair it with the lease and review everything. That's about all I had.
All right, I've got 7:21, and I think we've pared down our public hearings. Are y'all agreeable to do an exec session after meeting? Okay, then we'll hold on that one. And then, is everybody good with allowing the city manager to go home?
Oh, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Please.
As long as he doesn't breathe on us anymore.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't breathe through this thing.
No, that's not what I meant.
I'm sorry.
I hope you feel better.
Okay, and so I've got 7:22. Is there a motion to adjourn the work session?
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Okay.
So we'll see you in the meeting, and then we'll come back for exec session.